Hello and welcome to Sidequest. This is our weekly video game show here at Geekverse. I'm your host, Dylan Musk, and I have with me the steamed Travis Snell. How you doing tonight, my friend?
Good, I'm doing good. Yeah, I'm steamed, ready to go, excited for the week. So yeah, lots of fun things to talk about as well. So
Yeah, for sure. It's going to be a fun episode here. We have a lot to talk about. The Game Awards showed off the nominees for this year's show, so we're going to go through some of that. Talk about some of the games we've been playing. Steam announced some new hardware, which is quite fun. And then there's something else that I'm forgetting. Oh, yeah, State of Play. State of Play also happened, a new one, kind of a different one as well. So I'm excited to talk about that as well. So it should be a fun episode all around. And we're just going to kick it off with talking about the Game Awards a little bit. That's topical, happening. And yeah, me and you were just talking about before we hit record here, I haven't really seen this yet, and you haven't seen it either, other than like a couple of the categories. So this is going to be just some first impressions. Of course, kind of the week before, usually the Game Awards itself, we all get together and we do predictions. Who's going to win the categories? What announcements are we going to see? And then I usually do a little solo mini episode where I cast my votes. Of course, the fan vote is worth 10%, and I'm one of that 10%. I like to be.
and you're easily the most experienced person on this. Like all of us, maybe I'd say between even the three of me, Kirkland, Taylor, we could maybe get to 10 to 50% of the play style. But I feel like you got like, I feel like I could say 75. I feel like it's more than that usually, but 75 to be sure, because I'm sure there's a couple ones that bring you down, like some of the community games or maybe Emotion or like but like the main head honchos. I feel like you got a good structure on as far as what's happening.
I think that's mostly true. I think 60, 70, 80% sometimes, depending on what the category is. At least things I've touched, and Game Pass, PS Plus are a good way to like tackle a lot of those things. But then just play a lot. But I feel like this year's that's not as much been the case. So we'll see when we go through this.
Okay.
How much of the year I've really covered, and let's just go right here into Game of the Year. So there's 6 games here. There's Clair Obscur Expedition 33, Death Stranding 2, On the Beach, Donkey Kong Bonanza, Hades 2, Hollow Knight Silksong, and Kingdom Come Deliverance 2. Kind of sneaking in there, or I assume it is sneaking in there as like the number 6 on this list, but maybe I'm wrong. I know that game has its fans, but I was kind of surprised to see that one in here. The only other thing, I think one thing I'm really looking forward to as we go through these categories is Indiana Jones, right? Because that was like a December release last year, so it wasn't eligible last year. And so obviously that means it could be voted for this year, but I feel like a lot of people kind of just ignore that and they just kind of pick things from this year. So I don't know if it would have been a Game of the Year contender anyway, but I'm curious to see. I think it does pop up a couple times, so we'll see where that is. But yeah, what was your impressions of this Game of the Year list?
That's one thing that I do. So I'm behind. At least I've actually played 2, so that's actually better than some years and whatnot. And Claire, I want to get to. Claire's probably a game that I don't have anything what we've been watching, but Dylan, today I did download Alan Wake 2, so the next time I'm on, I will officially have that. So, but Claire is a game that's also on the backlog, and not to spoil any prediction thoughts, but I'm thinking it has a pretty good shot of winning this award. I just feel like it's the hype pick right now. But I feel like even with the Kingdom Come I had seen last week, I feel like the voting body on this, like the people that make these nominees at first, I feel like there was a big fan. Like here's the thing, this list, there's like no surprise. I think that's the thing where it felt like most of these games were all ones that have been talked about, where I feel like almost every year there's one game that's rarely talked about, or everyone's like that would be a really outside shot and it gets in there. Where this year, I guess for you it's saying Kingdom Come, but I feel like maybe my algorithm, someone must like that, and I'd seen it on a few at least. Okay, it could get there, sort of thing. So honestly, maybe the most I'm surprised, maybe like I still love the game, but I didn't know if Death Stranding 2 was a shoon or not, right? Because I felt like the first one was very different, very radical, but I thought it also had the thing of, there's a lot of people that didn't enjoy that game, right? Because it's maybe like a walking sim or just not the Kojima type of game. I thought enough people would still give it a nom, even if they didn't enjoy it. Well, it's Kojima's first game. I like this, I like what he was going for as far as the scope and the scale. It looks pretty, maybe not my type of game, but I respect it. So that's why I was kind of surprised. I thought the second one wouldn't get that. I thought that group of people that didn't even touch this one. But I guess we did talk about this was a bit more actiony, and maybe those people were satisfied this go around. So honestly, I'm happy to see it in there. I'm not going to do the thing where I haven't played these games, so I can't say it deserves it. But I'm happy it's there because I love Kojima, and I loved the game for the most part. Obviously, there was some underwhelming aspects to some things. You can go back to me and Dylan's multiple reviews, but for the most part, this is pretty much the list I thought. So.
Yeah, a lot of number twos, sequels here. Death Stranding 2, Hades 2, Silk Song is the 2, and Kingdom Come Deliverance 2 as well, which, the one that kind of stands out to me here, I'm just realizing, Ghost of Yotai. I feel like that would be a more popular pick than Kingdom Come, or maybe even Death Stranding from the stuff I heard. Now, obviously, we didn't end up picking it up, but I think in hindsight, maybe I'm...
Death Stranding, you said? Oh, you cut out. That's what happened. I don't know if I'm just live. If I'm just live, I think he was talking about this game of the years. But the only one, and even to Dylan's point, which is interesting because even though Donkey Kong is not a sequel, it's still like an established brand and IP thing, right? Like it's still like a new game. But Claire, like you were saying, is like the really own, like that's the like fresh team, like fresh, IP concept, story, everything like that. So, sorry, you cut out. I'm not sure if I cut out or you cut out. It was when you're talking about Death Stranding versus Ghost of Yotai.
Yeah, I are you surprised not to see Ghost in this list at all?
No, because I just feel that it's because sometimes I feel like there's times where we don't get on because we're like, oh, we're not that hype, we don't get it, and then I go, oh man, I missed out. But I feel like Mike's review of it in the Discord, so Mike, he summed up that he said it's like the first game, just better, and I think that's the thing where it seems like Ghost of Yotai doesn't take like a big leap forward. It's just fixing things that are maybe not buggy, but something that could have been reworked a little bit in the first game, or just a few new additions. It doesn't feel like what we talked about before, where people have like Assassin's Creed 2, or for me, it's like Batman Arkham Asylum to Arkham City. It's like there's a huge jump and change of differences, and it feels like, man, we've really arrived as a sequel, where it feels like Ghost of Yotai is just like more of the same. I feel like it's similar to Spider-Man 2, right? And I don't think Spider-Man 2, did that get a Game of the Year with that?
Oh,
I'll look, but I'll look because Spider-Man 2 is a similar thing where it's just to me was a very fun game, but it just felt like more of the same. So I'll see if I can.
Yeah, I guess I would think that would be the case for Hades and maybe Kingdom Come. Maybe Kingdom Come had a bigger explosion. I feel like Silk Song is kind of more the same, but it was just like that. It's just that good. And Death Stranding, I don't know. To me, it's like kind of equal-ish. But yeah, what about Spider-Man?
So Spidey did get in there. So in 2023, it was Alan Wake 2, Super Mario Bros. Wonder, Baldur's Gate, Zelda Tears of the Kingdom, Resident Evil 4, and Spider-Man 2.
And that's a stacked year. So the fact that it made it in there is like really impressive, actually.
And that's a year that only had it had the 6. So I guess with the OT, I just haven't heard that much. Where I guess that's the opposite though. Where even with Stranding, with my critiques, I feel like the people that love Stranding love it more than the people that love Ghost of Yotai. I know that might sound like an arrogant statement, but I just feel like the Death Stranding fans are very hardcore and very into the Kojima-isms, and that there's more passionate ones there. Where Ghost of Yotai, I think, might even have more fans, but I just don't think they're as passionate as the Stranding people that would have for sure voted for it. So,
and yeah, I mean, just shouts to Bonanza. It's
good for them.
That's really, I would say, impressive. And yeah, my top 3 for the year currently is in this 6. So I think they've done a good job. I know what my number 1 is, and I think I know what the number 1 will be here as well. But really solid list. And yeah, I haven't played Kingdom Come. And Hades, I didn't really like the first one, so I just haven't played the second one either. But from what I've heard, people like that second one even more than the first one for the most part, which is crazy because that game was already so big the first time around.
So do you think that means Bonanza 2's locked? That's happening, sales? Because I don't know how it's sold. I think it's sold pretty well. And then you get a Steam Game of the Year. I feel like lots of momentum to lock that sequel down in 5 years,
Yeah, I could see them going back to a bit of like a Mario, then Donkey Kong Mario, then Donkey Kong, like with that main 3D studio. But yeah, I mean, you just mentioned like Mario Wonder. I don't know if we're getting like a Wonder sequel right away, even though that was like a Game of the Year contender. Probably sold a shit ton. Also, Donkey Kong Bonanza's like sales can only be as much as there are like Switch 2s realistically.
That's
which
true.
Is, like, still slow, like a low-ish. Well, it's a pretty big number, but low-ish relative to like the Switch 1 player base. So we'll see. I mean, I don't know. I wonder if they would do like more DLC for it, or if they're just happy with that one pack they did. I'm guessing that's what they'll do, and then they're moving on. But yeah, cool to see Donkey Kong in there. And then, 404, you've reached the edge. Okay. I wonder if this site
That's it.
is...
That's it for the Game Awards talk. Yeah, well, I guess with DLC, I'm not sure because it came out this week. The rumored date for the DK movie is 2028. So it's funny, like we talked about the Mario game. Seems like when a Donkey Kong game comes out, there would not be a new game for that. So they haven't synced those cycles yet of games and movies, So it's kind of funny.
Yeah. This site might be glitching out right now because there's just so many people trying to get on it. Let me see if I
Keely
can-
did say the most year ever for votes and everything. So,
Yeah. Let me try this one more time.
but
There's nothing happening when I'm clicking these buttons.
do you want me to
Let's
bring it
see.
up and see?
I'll pull up an article.
Okay, there you
Game
go, yeah.
Awards nominees.
But yeah, no, I think Game of the Year. That's pretty much what people think. I think I will be excited too if they do the stage play. I hope they do that as well with the music. Get some Donkey Kong Bonanza music score because we both liked that as well. So that's always a good time. So, yeah, we'll see what happens. See what podcast Kojima has to promote.
All right, shows to Polygon.
Hell
we
yeah,
got
Polygon.
This new here. Okay, I don't know if they have it in maybe a different order than the website, but that's fine. Best art direction: Claire Obscure, Death Stranding 2, Ghost of Yotai, Hades 2, and Silk Song. So I guess just Yotai making it in there, which makes sense because obviously
Yeah.
it's an extremely gorgeous game. Yeah, I don't think there's anything too crazy there.
They all fit. Like they all look like. There's nothing to me that stands out as like, oh, why is that in there? The audio design actually has that to me, and I'll bring it up for a second because it's an offshoot topic, but I'll talk about it nonetheless. So.
No, read them off. Go for it.
Okay, so best audio design is Battlefield 6, Claire Obscure, Death Stranding 2 on the Beach, Ghost of Yotai, and Silent Hill F. For me, this was the one that, and Taylor talked about all the time, I feel like Call of Duty was always going to nom tier. I guess, is the
Right.
Call of Duty game not out yet, or is it out? Could it have worked?
It is, but it's probably past the cutoff.
Oh, okay, so
We'll
then
see
I
if
can't.
it pops in
yeah.
here, but I mean, it came out like 3 or 4 days ago. Obviously, reviewers, like some sites might have had it early enough. to
Yeah,
get it in
okay.
there.
It doesn't fit my narrative of just the Battlefield Call of Duty, which I'm kind of surprised. I'm surprised when even like this week when they show up like the concurrent players and Battlefield's up there. And have you seen any of these videos of what they're doing in this COD campaign? It's
No, I
wild.
haven't.
It's like you're fighting. There's some stage, spoilers if you care about the COD campaign for a minute. At one point, you're fighting a little man who's like a giant, and he's like trying to grab you, like all this like weird stuff going on, and it's apparently not a
sounds
good
great.
time. So,
Oh, okay.
no, not yeah, on the opposite side, but yeah, Battlefield 6 that makes sense because I feel like the war games always get in here. So, and the rest of these, I wonder if we're gonna see this with the list because so far, even the next list coming up, it seems like it's all the game of the years with like one difference, which I actually don't like to see for the most part. Like I like to see some variety in the other categories because sometimes I just worry that people just really liked the same 6 games. Like, oh, I'll just do it for that. I'll just do that. And they didn't really put too much thought in it. I like when you get to something like best audio design. And I'm not saying these games don't deserve it, but when it's like there's 3 choices that are, oh, I didn't think about that, but that's a good one. Like some like even like obviously like Hellblade's gonna get in there, but they didn't get any game of years, right? And stuff, or even best narrative.
Yeah.
But yeah, I guess we'll see as we go along. It's not looking good.
No, I like to see Silent Hill F in here because I don't know. I feel like mostly it's just like Resident Evil, like pops up in Game Awards stuff, but otherwise horror games aren't typically popular enough to like make it in some of these lists. That's pretty cool to see. The other thing I was going to bring up in terms of the cutoff was I feel like I'm hearing really good things about Outer Worlds 2, and that is like a big jump up from where that first game was.
Okay.
But that game also came out pretty recently and is kind of long, so I wonder if that's in like we haven't seen it yet, of course, in these first few categories. But I wonder if that one was like just close enough to the cutoff where it gets kind of screwed.
Yeah.
I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah.
Best game direction: Claire Obscure, Death Stranding 2, Ghost of Yotai, Hades 2, and Split Fiction. Yeah, Split Fiction's probably worth mentioning as like maybe a snub for Game of the Year because obviously their last game won Game of the Year with It Takes Two. So just a tougher field this year. But I mean, Split Fiction again, really great reviews. Like I think it has like a 90 Metacritic. People really love it. So maybe kind of surprising, but it's in game direction at least, which is cool because I think that is pretty worthy. Ghost of Yotai for game direction. I don't know how I feel about that. That seems kind of strange.
Yeah, it's just looking because people, if you're a long time listener, you've heard this, so it's me saying the same thing over. I feel the same way about movies and games. I never understand how these are kind of two separate awards. I just always feel like if the best game's made, it's like that's the like it's the same one. The director directed the best game, director directed the best movie. But yeah, no, it's surprising with both of them. Even Ghost of Yotai, I don't know. I just feel like I haven't heard that much changes, but I guess I'd have to hear some more opinions on it. But not surprised with Death Stranding because obviously Death Stranding won that game, and I actually don't think he'll win this one. I think if they win any, it could be a different one down the line. But
It's Claire for sure on this.
yeah,
one,
it's Claire. So, but I think with this, he won it last time, so it's honoring that a bit. So.
Mhm. And then best multiplayer: Arc Raiders, Battlefield 6, Elden Ring, Night Rain, Peak, and Split Fiction. Cool to see Peak make it in here because there's always games like this that come out every year, like the kind of goofy co-op friend games. But rarely do they actually ascend to like game awards level praise. That's pretty cool to see. I haven't played it yet, but I've been planning a session with some friends. So
Yeah, it looks fun.
I'll play that at some point. And then Arc Raiders is I'm hearing amazing things about Arc Raiders. That just came out somewhat recently, so it's still kind of fresh. And then, I guess Elden Ring's worth mentioning because, like, that game, even at the original game's DLC was a Game of the Year contender, right, when that came out. So the fact that Night Rain isn't
The
in
streak's
there is,
broken.
yeah, I guess a bit indicative, but also kind of makes sense for what it is. But they have a new DLC coming out for that as well. But, this list... This is interesting. These are all very different because obviously Split Fiction's like the co-op thing. Peak is kind of like the goofy friend one. Elden Ring, obviously like a FromSoft thing. Battlefield 6, the classic first-person shooter. And then Arc Raiders, I think it's like a looting game. I don't even really know what kind of genre it is, but these are all very different types of multiplayer. So I'm curious to see how this one squares out. I think when we get to the predictions for this, I don't actually know what I will pick yet. I have a couple weeks to decide, but that's an interesting category.
Mm-hmm.
And then for best narrative, we have Claire Obscure, Death Stranding 2, Ghost of Yotai, Kingdom Come, Deliverance, and Silent Hill F. Cool to see Ghost in there, I guess. People obviously think pretty highly about the narrative that time around. Death Stranding makes a lot of sense because it just has, whether or not you think the quality, it has a lot of narrative, so like it just makes it in there by that metric. And then, Claire Obscure, Kingdom Come, pretty obvious. But again, Silent Hill F, I really want to play that game when it's on sale at some point. I'll definitely check it out, but that's a cool category. I like these picks.
Yeah, I think this one's gonna be interesting because I feel like a lot of people didn't have too many of the story issues I did with On the Beach. So I feel if Kojima wins anything, maybe it could be narrative because he's kind of known for that, right? So I could see them throwing it that way. But oh my god, best performance!
Yeah, let's check out best performance here.
I didn't know it was all that, but
we have 3 from Claire Obscure, Jennifer English who plays Mael. We have Ben Starr who plays Verso, and then Charlie Cox who plays I don't even remember what his name is right now, but he plays that character. And then Ghost of Yotai, the protagonist there, Erika Ishii. Indiana Jones and the Great Circle, of course, Troy Baker,
well
Silent Hill
deserved.
F, Kanatsu Kato, who I'm assuming is the protagonist of that game. But this is the one you thought had some snubs. What were the snubs for you?
I was very because we talked about it, and I guess like what the sexier choice is for me. If like I thought Léa Seydoux or Troy Baker, and I understand why not Léa Seydoux because she's not in there as much. I can't compare to other than Charlie Cox, so I know the main character. Those two others are Ben Starr and Jennifer English. Are they in the game quite a bit?
Oh yeah.
Okay, so that's one thing where
it's
Léa
a very
Seydoux
ensemble cast game. Like even the main like 5 or 6 or 7 characters are all in it like an equal like ton amount. Like it's a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
In there.
Okay, so that a point I understand because I think Léa Seydoux is great in Death Stranding, but I also think she disappears a lot as we've talked about, right?
Yeah.
So for me in Troy Baker, I still think that Troy Baker's if I was to go one way, I would definitely give it to Death Stranding over Indiana Jones. I think he really went for it.
Really?
I think he got to choose the scenery. Yeah, because like. With Indiana Jones, he's doing a great Harrison Ford, right? And he's still bringing his own stuff to it, but it's still something he's basing off someone else's work. Where with Death Stranding, it felt like to me he went wild. But if you're looking at it on paper, if you're going to ask me which one's going to get the nom, it's Indiana Jones 100%. So that's the first thing I thought because when I saw the list, I just saw Troy Baker. I'm like, oh yeah, the Death Stranding, of course, he was amazing in that. And then I was like, oh no, Indiana Jones. So to me, I kind of understand Léa, but in Death Stranding, to me, that's the better performance, and there's more versatility there. You know, but he gets to be Harrison Ford, cool, calm, collected, couple jokes, but like you're not acting as anywhere. I feel like with Death Stranding too, I feel like he's definitely doing more of that mocap and that work. So yeah, to me, I'm just I'm on that side, but understanding Indiana Jones, and I also think like this is multiple people's category, to be honest, too. I don't think it's a clear done because Troy is always a favorite, and I think people were blown away by his indie. I've heard great things about Charlie Cox. Ghost of Yota, I've heard great things about Erika as well. So I think there's lots of ways it could go. So this one's kind of, I wouldn't want to pizza bet anything on this one.
Yeah. Yeah, it's funny. I think like if the Game Awards, which I don't think it should, had a best scene category for like just acting or something like the way we do with Golden Geeks, I feel like I could definitely see some Death Stranding stuff like sneaking in there. But I guess I'm not too bummed that Death Stranding didn't make it into the performance categories. I think as we talked about the review, like Leia Sadu just feels like, yeah, her paycheck was probably a lot more than the first game, so she's not in it a whole lot. Other characters disappear for a while. And yeah, I think we're on the back to that review. Like you were much hotter on Troy Baker's performance than I was, but I think he is unbelievable in Indiana Jones. So yeah, and then it's honestly anyone who's not in here for Clair Obscur also feels like a snub. Like that's just how good that game is, how good the writing is, how good all the performances are. There's definitely a couple more like Lune, villain guy you could throw in there. Like there's other ones that would definitely be a good fit. So yeah, this is gonna be a tough category, but again, probably considering Clair Obscur has like half the noms here, I feel like it might go to one of them. But I don't know. Maybe they split. I don't know. I don't think that's really how it works for the Game Awards, but who knows? Maybe that could happen.
Yeah.
Best score and music: Clair Obscur again, Death Stranding 2 again, Ghost of Yota again, Hades 2, and Hollow Knight Silk Song. Yeah, I haven't listened to Yotai or Hades 2 soundtracks yet, but all three of these other ones are unbelievable. Obviously, me and you were very much considering going to the States to go to this Death Stranding concert to hear some of this music. Clair Obscur, unbelievable soundtrack. Hollow Knight, unbelievable soundtrack. So, yeah, this is a heavy hitter category this year.
Yeah, no, that's a really good one. I've heard just glimpses of things. Obviously, I'm very biased. This one, I would love Death Stranding 2 to get it. I don't know if it will, but has a lot of original music and even Elle Fanning sing it. So I think this is one that I don't know. I'll have to wait till I get closer to and kind of listen to some other people's thoughts on that one too, because I have not heard enough, obviously, of said games to make a full on opinion. But yeah, again, though, lots of the same nominees as before.
Mm-hmm. Okay, for Best Action, we have Battlefield 6, Doom: The Dark Ages, Hades 2, Ninja Gaiden 4, and Shinobi: Art of Vengeance. Yeah, kind of. I guess with seeing this category, I kind of forgot that Doom is a thing that could have been voted for in a lot of these categories. But I think for me, it's kind of fitting. Wasn't really my cup of tea this year, but that's a heavy hitter category. It's pretty solid.
Yeah, no, I kind of forgot about Doom: Dark Ages, like even sound design or anything like that, or even score, because they're sometimes known for having some good heavy metal music in there. But
yeah, and then Best Action Adventure Game: Death Stranding 2, Ghost of Yotai, Hollow Knight Silk Song, Indiana Jones showing up again. That's cool. And Split Fiction. I'm kind of surprised to see no Donkey Kong in either action or action adventure, or maybe I'd put it more in action for Donkey Kong. Just
I'd probably
it's such a smashing stuff game, but
yeah. As much as I love the game, I'd probably take out Death Stranding and replace it with Donkey Kong in this sense. I know there is more action this go around Death Stranding, but I still feel that the primary function of Donkey Kong is you're doing a lot of action, but it's also more. I guess that's tough though, because I could see the adventure part where just even the idea of scaling the mountain, finding new locations, that's the adventure in Death Stranding, right? So I can kind of see that, but yeah, I wouldn't have been mad with that flip, because I don't think Death Stranding is going to win this category. I feel like this is probably the Ghost of Yotai one where like, give it something, so.
Yeah, maybe I could see it being Hollow Knight. I'm not sure.
You're true. Yeah, Hollow Knight could be. Yeah.
Even Split Fiction, I don't know. That's tricky. That's once again very separate genres. So
it's probably though like the old school, like we've talked about before. You're probably right with Hollow Knight, because it's that thing of if it's in the Game of the Year category and it's not going to win that, then give it that. So Hollow Knight has a good shot of doing that. So
Best Family Game, we have Bonanza, Lego Party, Lego Voyagers, Mario Kart World, Sonic Racing, Crossworlds, and Split Fiction. So cool 2 Lego games in there. Of course, the 2 Nintendo first-party games that have released at this point this year. Sonic Racing, that's cool to see. Split Fiction. Yeah, Mario Kart World is the first time that has appeared. And I don't know if it'll be in any other categories. It might just be a little one and done here.
We know what's winning this though. Same developer wins this every year. I would assume, maybe not. I have to look at the record, but it's definitely the Nintendo family.
Which
category.
one though?
I won't say.
Bonanza just being
I'll wait till the predictions episode.
Yeah, fair.
I'll say no matter what, it's one of those two.
Okay.
Obviously, the old way, you'd probably, like what we just said, the system, you'd probably know what I'd vote for, but still, like I think that we just kind of joke that Nintendo always, you may as well just call it the Nintendo category. Mm-hmm. It's usually whatever game gets in Game of the Year, and like, just give it to Nintendo. Happy, you know?
I think Astrobot took it last year, which is an interesting one because normally I think the ones that win it, normally the games in here are more like multiplayer things. Astrobot not, of course. Donkey Kong. Okay, Donkey Kong technically has a co-op mode where you can like have someone play as Pauline and like shout things, but it's not like a full co-op mode. So interesting. That I feel like that's a very different kind of vibe for the Nintendo ones, which is maybe not always the case. Best fighting game: 2XKO, Capcom Fighting Collection 2, Fatal Fury, Mortal Kombat Legacy Collection, and Virtua Fighter 5. I feel like this is maybe a lesser year. I don't know if there's like just the one clearly standout instant winner. So I don't know. That could go to anyone actually.
Yeah.
Interesting. Best indie game: Absalom, Ball X Pit, Blueprints, Clair Obscur, Expedition 33, Hades 2, and Hollow Knight Silk Song. Yeah, I guess Clair Obscur technically.
I was going to ask you. I didn't know that classified as an indie game, but that's impressive then if it is. So.
Yeah, I mean it's weird, right? Because there has been non-indie games in the indie game category before. It just like is usually by feel, but technically Clair Obscur is not a first-party game for any studio. I mean, they obviously got like that Game Pass bag, and it's like a big team that made the game, so it doesn't necessarily feel or smell like an indie game, but like technically Baldur's Gate 3 is an indie game, you know? It's just how it works, right?
Yeah.
And then, Blueprints, cool to see that show up. I love Ball X Pits, that's cool. Good to see that one as well. Best mobile game: Destiny, Rising, Persona 5, Phantom X, Sonic Rumble, Uma Musume, Pretty Derby, and Wuthering Waves.
A lot of games I've not heard of, Dylan.
I have not heard of. I don't know what Sonic Rumble is.
These are the games that take down Dylan's play percentage right here. These games right here hurt his take you down.
Also, this category: best ongoing game: Final Fantasy XIV, Dawn Trail, Fortnite, of course, Helldivers 2, Marvel Rivals, and No Man's Sky. So I guess I have played Helldivers 2. It's been we haven't played in like 2 months. I feel like I don't know.
Taylor moved. That's what happened, and then we stopped playing. So we'll have to, I'll have to hit him back up and see if we can go get some bugs again.
I did re-download Marvel Rivals to check out the zombies mode for a little bit.
Oh,
so
okay.
Played a little bit of that. It was fine.
Yeah.
It was okay.
Okay.
Best RPG: Avowed, Clair Obscur, Kingdom Come, Monster Hunter Wilds, and Outer Worlds 2. So the 2 Obsidian RPGs. So I guess Outer Worlds was within the time frame, but just is not making a dent, which is.
I was gonna say. So you heard it was better than 2, or was that your experience with it? Because you haven't played it yet, right?
I haven't played it because Game Pass is so expensive now that I canceled, and so I'm not playing it. But I heard it was just super good. I mean, maybe not necessarily from the release, but just like previews and things like that too over the last few months. But I guess I haven't heard a lot of people talking about it, so maybe it just isn't being played enough. I'm not sure.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I wonder if that's just a case where people, because obviously they made a sequel and it was successful, it was well reviewed, and I think the first one did it not get in the Game of the Year category, like as the main one when it came out.
I doubt it.
Okay, so I was just wondering. I guess that's almost like what I pitched about Death Stranding, where I kind of thought enough people had played the first one and bounced after that they wouldn't. But I guess there's enough people that played Outer Worlds and maybe didn't come back for, like you said, not playing it enough. And yeah.
And then Monster Hunter Wild's another one that that game came out this year and clearly didn't make as much of a dent because it's not in all these categories. Even though I feel like Monster Hunter World, when that came out, was, and even where the heck, Rise, I think, is the one on the Switch. I feel like those games were huge, but this one didn't really live up to the hype as much.
Yeah. Funny enough, when we were speaking about, what was it, Outer Worlds. So it didn't get nominated for Game of the Year, but it got nominated, or wait a second. Oh, I have to go back a year. Never mind, I forgot.
It was 2019.
I'm thinking Oscar type of noms. No, it did get a Game of the Year. It was a best of. It was Death Stranding, Smash Bros, Sekiro, Resident Evil, and Control. So Resident Evil 2 to be certain. So yeah, the Outer Worlds did get a nomination. That's what I just thought. I remember because
Are you
I
sure
thought
Outer Worlds and not Outer Wilds? Are you not?
no,
mixing
the
them
Outer
up?
Worlds,
Okay.
WORL. I think the only reason I remember that is because I thought the year it happened, it was a surprise. I thought that was the surprise game that, like, Smash, of course, Death Stranding, of course, Control. Like, I thought all those were kind of, oh yeah, these are gonna make it in. But I thought Outer Worlds was the surprise one. So that's what it's like, and it's funny. Death Stranding, the first one, came out the same year. So you have an example where, you know, what, 6 years later, Death Stranding 2 makes it in, but Outer Worlds 2 doesn't. Like you said, though, could be the release date. It is maybe just too fresh for people to nominate. So, and if that's the case, it's kind of disappointing because obviously last time it got the main award nominee. Doesn't mean it was going to for sure happen. Maybe it's a different year, but yeah, interesting.
Yeah, and obviously if it's like in here, technically it was within the time frame, so it probably wouldn't be in the case in the box next year, but next year's going to be huge anyway, so just kind of falls by the wayside. But that's, you know, that's what happens. But cool for that one developer has 2 games in Best RPG. Shouts to Obsidian.
That's cool.
That's popping off. Best Sports Racing, EA Sports FC 26, F1 25, Mario Kart World Rematch, and Sonic Racing Cross Worlds. That's that. Best Strategy Sim, we have Civ 7, Final Fantasy 7 Tactics, The Evilise Chronicles, Jurassic World Evolution 3.
Shout out to Taylor.
See that?
I don't think Taylor's even played that game, though. I'll have to bug him about it.
Not.
Oh, wow. Okay.
I mean, it did come out like in the last couple weeks, I think. So maybe.
Okay.
I don't think he was going to pick it up anyway. But anyway, The Alters, Tempest Rising, and 2 Point Museum. I don't think I know what Tempest Rising is, so I'll have to look into that. But again, another category that has very different vibes with things going on here. Interesting category. Best VR AR game: Alien Rogue Incursion, Arkan Age, Deadpool VR, Ghost Town, Midnight Walk. Best adaptation: a Minecraft movie, Devil May Cry. Was that like a Netflix show?
It
or
was,
something like
yeah.
Okay. Splinter Cell Death Watch. What was that? Was that a Netflix show? What's
Anime, yeah. Netflix anime, yep.
Last of Us Season 2, that does not feel like it came out this year. That feels like an eternity ago. And then Until Dawn.
Oh, so, God damn. That hurt me big time because I'm a big fan of Until Dawn. That movie, I don't think it's like just a very bland horror movie, but really other than a few like visuals has nothing to do with the game whatsoever. So for the fact that it's like best adaptation that's in there, it is just to fill the category. At that point, I think they should I do think they should really drop this category down to 3. I know the other ones don't, but I feel like if you actually want to be best, kind of like how we do with the MCU, it just feels like, yeah, we got to get in there. Like the fact that Until Dawn is in here hurts the credibility of this entire category. The movie has nothing to do with the game. It is just in name alone, Until Dawn, and that's it. That's the other one. I could not believe.
Is there a 5th thing that came out this year that's relevant?
I don't know if there is, and that's why I'm saying just cut it down. I guess Mike and the crew, they said in the Discord, what was it, Secret Levels or whatever it was on Amazon Prime, right?
Okay. Was that this year?
I think so, because wasn't there season 2 or something? I don't know. If it was, then that, but my whole thing is, cut it down to 3. Cut it down to 3. That'd be it. And I actually don't know what's going to win this, to be honest. I still feel like Last of Us because people are big Last of Us fans in this community, but I also would see them trying to get a reason to get Jason Momoa and Jack Black on the stage. And Jack Black's a big gamer, so there's that kind of synergy. So I have a sneaking suspicion Minecraft might take this. So check out our review of that coming soon of a Minecraft movie. So
yes, very soon. Let's round these out here. Community support: Baldur's Gate 3, Final Fantasy 14, Fortnite, Helldivers 2, No Man's Sky. Debut indie game: Blueprints, Clair Obscur, Despelote, Dispatch, and Megabonk. That's a good category. I like that one.
I like that name, Megabonk.
Megabonk.
That's good.
Games for Impact: Consume Me, Despelote, Lost Records, South of Midnight, and Wonderstop. Yeah, kind of forgot about another game, South of Midnight.
Yeah,
came out this year. Didn't really make a huge impact. Very cool art style. Could have been an art direction one, but
yeah, I'm with you. I'm kind of surprised maybe that it didn't pop up there.
Yeah.
So
and it had good music too. But anyway, best esports game: Counter-Strike 2, Dota 2 League, Mobile Legends Bang Bang, and Valorant. So same old.
Counter-Strike's still going. They're gonna make a Counter-Strike 3.
Absolutely.
Like, what's the deal with Counter-Strike?
Well, they just released Counter-Strike 2 like 2 years ago.
Did they? Okay.
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Maybe in 15 years. And then we got a bunch of esports content creators. Most anticipated: 007 First Light, Grand Theft Auto 6, Marvel's Wolverine, Resident Evil Requiem, Witcher 4. So obviously, GTA is just going to take that one. Witcher 4. I guess I normally think about that game's coming out next year. Witcher 4, that's not the case. That's not coming out for
No, but they
time,
dropped that
right?
trailer, right? So they're just like, oh, it's on the way. So
Yeah, I guess so. That is all of the categories. Any other thoughts?
No, I think,
yet?
like we said, once we looked at the first three, I think there's some differences, but for the most part, it feels like, which does happen, but it feels like those 5 to 6 best game nominees got a lot of love almost everywhere, right? Yeah. So, I'd say maybe a little lack of versatility this year as far as the nominees goes, but maybe that just means those games were that strong for the people that played them, right? That were that high on them. So, we'll have to see.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, when I've looked at my preemptive lists here, just thinking about Game of the Year stuff, like there are a handful of games that are like, oh yeah, these are monolith level games. These are just going to make it to the top of the list for sure. But there's a lot of things in the like 7 to 8 range, like, oh yeah, solid game, but not exceptional. And so I feel like a lot of things just kind of sink because of that, unfortunately, which, just how it goes. But there we go. That took longer than I thought it would, but, that was fun to go through, so nothing wrong with that. How about we take our first ad break after I thank our wonderful Patreon producers, Aaron Braden, April of Darkness, Jack Grant, Sam, Superbad Mike, TGGLM69, Charlie Rendell, Cocktail Clay, John, and Sam Green. Thank you to all of you for keeping the lights on. Also, with joining Patreon, you get episodes early and ad-free. What kind of exclusive stuff is going up on Patreon in the next week or two?
So we got the originals coming out for Phase 3 and up, which will be good because we're going to hear about Kirkland's whole Japan trip, which we talked about a little bit, but I actively tried not to talk to him too much about it because I knew we'd be recording the podcast about it. So we got that. You guys will get the Minecraft movie retrospective early. That'll be up there. And then... and then I think in the next month's Christmas movie, but then after that, 2026, there's lots of exclusives to come. But originals, a couple retrospectives. Yeah, good stuff.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, right on. Okay, let's go to a quick ad break. If you are not on the Patreon, you got to listen to some ads. Sorry about that. That's just the way she goes. Thank you. We'll be back in one moment. Okay, we are back. Games we've been playing. I kind of have a bunch of quick hits here because I had a friend stay with me last week, and so we just did a whole bunch of co-op gaming, which was really, really nice. I loved that, missed that. Obviously got to do a bunch of that on the stream, and then I'm lucky that I had a friend here, so I got to do a bunch more co-op gaming. So it's just been a lot of multiplayer stuff, which has been fun. Of course, we played some Smash Bros, played some Mario Kart, which is always good stuff. We did a good amount of UFO 50, which I'm glad that now you guys have played this and you know what I'm talking about a little bit. But we played a couple rounds of Quibble Race. My friend really enjoyed Quibble Race, so that's always
cost me the finals. If I would have won Quibble Race, I wouldn't even had to face Tyler in Mario Kart. So that those bets I could have been facing the finals, but that's okay.
That's the way it goes.
Yeah.
We also played some Party House. We played some Ninpek, which is super fun. Hyper Contender, which is kind of like a Smash Bros. Like one. And then Bug Hunter is one of my favorite strategy tactics games in the collection. And I didn't even realize it had multiplayer until we were hanging out just checking out the collection. So it had a totally different mode to it where it has this whole additional currency to it with actions and limited actions. So that was really interesting that it's just this whole different version of the game that I never even knew existed. So that was really fun because that was already one of my favorite games. So yeah, just UFO 50, the gift that keeps on giving. And then we dipped into a bunch of the just Nintendo Switch Online catalogs. I played a bunch of Pokemon Stadium 1 and 2, which was fun. I kind of got my ass beat. My friend is just very knowledgeable on Pokemon stuff, like what types beat which ones. I am not, and for me, some of them are very unintuitive. It's I don't know what beats Psychic. None of these things are intuitive to me. I understand that fire beats grass, but beyond that, it's hard for me to just know what's going on. So that was pretty fun. Travis, did you know that Banjo-Tooie has some multiplayer competitive modes in it?
I think I remember that. Yeah, I think I remember them not being the greatest, but I do remember those happening.
Yeah, we played some of that. It's very janky, but there's 10 to 15 different things you can do in there. So I'm gonna investigate that a bit more because that could be a really fun off the wall gauntlet game to throw in there. Just Banjo-Tooie.
Some Banjo-Tooie.
Yeah, I just didn't even know that game had multiplayer in any way. So that's pretty cool because I feel a lot of those rare platformer games that they made back in the day never really had multiplayer. They're mostly
No.
just like single player sort of things. So other than like GoldenEye and things like that. But yeah, that was a fun thing to discover. And then I think maybe the highlight for me was we checked out the Genesis catalog, which I've checked out a little bit here or there, but I'm not very nostalgic for that system. I don't know what these games are, but my friend is, a Sega kid, knows all these games, so he was kind of just walking me through it, and that was really fun. So introduced me to Gunstar Heroes, which is a really fun like co-op platforming shooter kind of game. We played a couple Tetris kind of like games. There's one called Dr. Robotnik's Mean Bean Machine, which has like a really weird set of mechanics to it. It's very Dr. Mario-esque, but with like a couple little variations.
I remember this game. I had I can't remember what it was, but I had like a Sonic collection game, and it was 6 games where I think I had like Sonic 1, 2, 3, and then the 3 other games were like spin-offs, and I played Bean Machine a lot because there's a lot of weirdos too that are like the characters you play as. So no, I know you're talking about Bean Machine was a fun time. So
yeah, it was really good again, as someone who loves Dr. Mario, to have like because obviously all these Tetris kind of games, these block dropping games, are all kind of like Dr. Mario, all kind of like Tetris, but this one was much more in that like Dr. Mario chain, so I quite like that one. And then the other one we played is called Columns. I freaking love Columns. It's like Tetris. The blocks are a little bit different, but the kind of main difference is you can get lines like diagonally as well as just like straight up and down. So that made it really engaging, and I ended up just being like a god at this game. We played like one round, and I literally went for like an hour or something. At some point I was like, I just have to give up because I literally have solved this game on like my first try, but it was really, really fun. And my friend was getting a little salty because he kept getting crushed, and like even when you die, you just can like respawn and try again, and I just wasn't dying, and my score was going up, and eventually it was so quick that the blocks just like instantly fell. But somehow I was still like punching through. It was just a super fun time. So
yeah,
shout outs to the Genesis collection. Yeah, not something I've really spent a lot of time with, but yeah, it was fun to check out some of those games. So those are some things I've been playing, and then yeah, we can just jump right along then to the next stuff. So yeah, Steam is the greatest gaming platform potentially in the biz. Maybe it's the best, and yeah, They've done some hardware stuff before, but they've announced kind of this new suite of 3 hardware pieces. They have what they're calling the Steam Machine, which is like their first real attempt at a console. They've done in the past. They had, I think it was called the Steam Link, maybe, and it was a little device. It was much smaller than like this thing, and this thing looks like it's like the size of a GameCube. This is smaller than that, and it would like sit by your TV. But the thing, it was like a streaming device, so it would stream like from your PC to that thing out onto your TV. And I had a friend who had it, and it worked like pretty well for the most part. And I remember trying some of those things at his house and didn't really have any lag or latency because I think it just runs like through your Wi-Fi, so you don't even have the best Wi-Fi for it to work properly. So they've tried that before, but they eventually discontinued that after I guess it just wasn't selling super well. For years, they've had their own controller that you can buy and just play Steam things with it. But they have like a new controller coming out now along with this console. I don't know if they sell this console with the controller as like a bundle or if you just kind of pick and choose what you want. And then obviously they've been doing the Steam Deck for the last few years, so getting more into the console space. But yeah, now they have like the full-on Steam Machine, which is like a full home console, none of that weird streaming stuff. The controller, and then they also have like their own VR headset. They're kind of touting this one as not just for playing VR games. It's just like, I guess like just another screen that you would play games on in general. So I don't know what exactly the use case for that is. Maybe if you like live in a house with a lot of people and the TV is often taken by people watching reality shows or something. So you're just like, I guess I'll put on this headset and I can kind of double as like another screen there. So we'll see what happens there. But obviously with like Half-Life Alyx and stuff, they've dipped into the VR space previously, and they've had support for like the MetaQuest and whatnot through their just Steam on PC and all that. But yeah, they have the 3 new things now: a console, a new controller, and the VR stuff. Travis, what do you think about all this as a traditionally non-PC guy? Does this tickle your fancy at all?
Absolutely. That thing will be under my TV at some point in the next 12 to 18 months. Yeah. It's interesting timing with kind of all this stuff because it felt like obviously we haven't got this before, but we had the rumors of hey, Xbox isn't doing a console, or if they do one, it's probably the last one. And then even who's the person that had it's the lady, she had a bunch of terrible quotes that came out the week of that stuff was about like the Xbox being like a pretty much like a
Sarah
1%er. Yeah, Sarah, just like
CEO
pretty much
or
just being like a
something?
1%er item, like just selling the Xbox in the worst way possible, right? And now, granted, they didn't know all these rumors, or maybe they did, maybe they helped put them out, but they didn't know all these rumors and they were going to say this stuff. But it's almost like they did, and they're just waiting for the perfect time to say something because, man, this could not have come at a better time when I feel like the world, even Xbox people, I feel like some of those diehard people, I guess you don't, Taylor sounds like he's still planning on buying one, but most people just feel like they're done with the brand, either if they're disappointed or betrayed. And I don't even think betrayed in like a real sense, just in the sense of, man, I've invested time or money. It just feels like this is not even going to be for me, right? They're going to outprice people. And we've bunch of people have said like, well, if they're going to go that point, why wouldn't I just get a console or sorry, get a PC? Well, lo and behold, Steam out of nowhere comes out with the Steam machine, and it's just it is the perfect time to try to be the third console right now because PlayStation's where they are, and then Nintendo's obviously where they are, and I think there is room for a competitor. And they have. It's not like with Xbox where there's. It was almost like, why would I get an Xbox with Steam? There's going to be reasons to get that. So many people, including myself, is like, I'm never going to buy a PC. I don't want to have to replace all the parts and do all that. I just want something that does the PC, that I can just press the button and it's a go. Not like what you talked about where, oh, it's a link to this, or I got to have a HDMI running from my PC to that. Like, that's not practical, especially when I live with kids. Having a PC hooked up, no, not at all, right? Or just even space. So now, and one, gotta love that looks like the GameCube. That's like, I don't know if they did that on purpose, but the nostalgia in me was like, oh yeah, that's what I want to see. I want a cubed console going on.
Yeah.
So, and the
No
idea
handle
that
though.
well, yeah, no handle, but I'll get someone to build it. I'll
Glue one
find.
on there. Yeah.
Yeah, Kyle's an engineer, so I'll get him to, don't break it. But no, and that's where it's just even these like reports that sounds like the idea would be it's going to be like Steam, where it's you're not going to pay to have the online service, right? Like what you would do with the PC. Like I think what the best thing about this is it's coming at a time where the third option is making a lot of mistakes, and what they were offering, the only selling thing on me, other than having let's say they do one more Xbox and that's it, other than being nostalgic and being like, oh, I own the last Xbox, and what it sounded like the pitch was going to be, hey, it's going to be Xbox, but you're going to be able to, it's going to be more like a PC, you're going to be able to access Steam and play those games. If that was the pitch, and then the Steam machine's actually there, to me that pitch is gone. And it sounds like this is going to be cheaper because like it's not as powerful as the PlayStation 5 or Xbox, but to me that's so far, I guess, because people figure out what the HDMI port, that's like the one previous before, it's like a 2.0, so it doesn't do the same. Yeah, so the HDMI on the Xbox and PlayStation currently is a higher HDMI, so the processing and stuff technically would look better. But to me, that's not what it's about. It's about accessing Steam. It's about those times when we've watched a conference and a great game comes up and it's like only on PC. I'm like, oh man, and my heart sinks. And there's multiple times like, oh, I would have bought that, I would have played that. And now with the Steam thing, it's like, I think there's a lot of people that could adopt that, whether they're just tired of they had a PC, but they don't have the funds, or they don't want to do the whole PC setup and do that. Or there's going to be a lot of new people like myself that are looking for the third option, or even if there are people, I promise you, that have only played Xbox their whole life, right? Whether it's like preference, whether it's cost. So if there's any people like that feel like, man, I don't know if I want to go spend $2,000 on a premium Xbox, and the Steam thing comes out where you can get those Xbox games. You're going to be able to get them on PC or access Games Pass. You're going to get this whole slew of other games. I think it is smart. There is a rumor going around that PlayStation's going to stop putting up the big titles on PC, and that's what you should do if you're trying to survive, right? So it just feels like everything that Steam did with this reveal was perfect. The only thing we have to now wait and see is price. But I think, in my opinion, I don't think it's going to be as I don't know. PS5 has gone up. Like, I think they're gonna price this thing pretty considerate with the Nintendo and PlayStation, just to show like they're real competitors. Because if you end up being super expensive, then it's really no different than the Xbox, right? But I think the selling point is not the teraflops and look how pretty it is. To me, the selling point is Steam and everything you can do with it, and the fact that it's cheaper than an Xbox and hopefully can do the same thing. So yeah, I was very excited down. I don't love that controller, so I will probably get a different type of controller to go with it. That controller is looking a little awkward, but no,
like I said, I don't know if they actually are selling that as a pair, or if they're just
Yes.
having separate
Right.
SKUs, which is nice. The customization angle of it is quite nice.
And should maybe be cheaper then too, right? Because you may not be paying for a controller with your console. You're just buying the box and you get your
Exactly.
controller
Yeah.
elsewhere. So no, I was hyped by this, and because I've always been wanting to get in that, but I've never like bought a high gaming laptop or anything like that. So and there's always great deals on Steam. So no, I will because I thought about with Ted being like, yeah, I'd probably get that last Xbox or the next one just to say I have it, but now I don't think there's with this machine. Not really a shot all. So I was very hyped by this announcement. I think they did everything too marketing wise. I saw a lot of people also very excited. So yeah, I hope they nail it on the stuff and the price of everything. But I was very happy with this.
Yeah, that's really exciting to hear, and I feel like that is very much opening like a whole new world potentially for you. I mean, I feel like a lot of big games these days really at least try and have like, if it's like an indie or something, they want to try and hit the Switch, or a lot of games more than ever, especially with crossplay and stuff, are trying to be on all the consoles possibly, but like definitely PC is still like by far the most adopted platform. It's just the easiest place to put things as well. Like there's the lowest barrier to entry. Can definitely say that for sure as someone who's released a game on Steam and nowhere else. It's just definitely the easiest way to release a game. I think this is really cool. I mean, I've definitely been in the market maybe in the next couple of years to upgrade my PC. I've pretty much gotten rid of my PC. It just sits here unused, and I just have my laptop at this point, but my laptop is even it's getting slower now. It's taking longer to just open things. I've noticed that. So definitely getting to the point where I might need a new PC. So I don't know if I'll jump for this, because I might just get something else. I don't know how well this thing would work, because it uses Linux instead of Windows by default. You should be able to download Windows on it and use that instead, just like the way you can do that with the Steam Deck.
Yeah,
it is just a PC. But I don't know if I want to go through all these hoops. I might just get a new PC. We'll see. But yeah, I mean, this is great for me, obviously, because I've been buying games on Steam since like the early 2000s, and all those games are still there, and I can still boot them up. And there's like a couple that only work on really old ass computers and don't run super well, but even those ones usually have like a community mod that you can just download that like fixes all those issues as well. So yeah, I mean, if they do
the
this,
mods, Dylan. I can't.
Yeah,
I'm so excited to finally get into that
yeah,
stuff.
You can get into the mod game.
Yeah,
but yeah, like immediately I'll have a couple hundred games that I already just have preloaded into this thing. And yeah, it's funny. I remember that like a big thing with Xbox and how they kind of explain why they're losing right now in the console wars, so to speak, is that they really just botched it on the Xbox One generation, which was the generation when everyone was building their digital libraries. And that's definitely the case for me. I didn't have the Xbox One, and then into the Series X, I'm mostly playing things on Game Pass. So I don't own like a ton of digital Xbox games. So I'm not extremely incentivized to just by default get their next console, because it's not like, oh man, I have 200 games that I just like have access to. PlayStation, I have a bit more because I was on the PS4 generation, but even then I was getting a lot of discs that back then still. That's definitely the case with Switch though. Like that digital library is building, and that's why it's really nice to carry that over the Switch too. And yeah, I mean, since like the early 2000s, I've building this PC library of games that are all accessible there. And yeah, you can still download Game Pass and Microsoft Store or whatever and play things there. And the PC Game Pass is a whole lot cheaper than like obviously they've increased the prices for all the categories, but the PC Game Pass is by far the cheapest. So that also is like another better way to get back on that service, because yeah, I'm unsubscribed from that now. And now since it is so expensive, like I don't really have any incentive to want to get that next Xbox console no matter what it is, obviously with all those statements from Sarah Bond as well of it being extremely expensive, and every other word than that. So yeah, like with that and the monthly subscription being ridiculous, like that's not really economical for me to get that console. But now this makes a whole lot of sense of just like go for the PC upgrade or specifically get the Steam machine, and then I can access like Game Pass that way if I want to. So yeah, I really like this. This is cool. I think obviously they dipped their toes in the market with the Steam Deck, and that has been pretty successful for them. And yeah, I think that's another good thing too, because obviously this does run on Linux, not Microsoft Windows, right? So it's not every game is supported on Linux as well, or some things are kind of buggy and laggy. But since the Steam Deck is like becoming bigger and bigger part of the market, a lot more studios and stuff are making their games eligible to be played on the Steam Deck via like Linux compatibility, which is obviously in a roundabout way, a good thing for the Steam machine because more and more games are going to have that
Yeah.
support there. So
I can't remember which analyst I saw, but I saw someone share like all these like points of, and like just seeing how this will be a lot more ease of access for people to get games on here, opposed to maybe certain PCs or things like that, where it's like, okay, this is going to be like set credentials, right? Like this is what the Steam machine does. You have it now. Go make something for us, right? So it's going to be way more easier. So you'll probably get a lot of that stuff. Also, I don't think you'll be getting the Nintendo stuff too and everything. I think they'll keep, and I think that's, I again, not that I'm gonna argue with Phil Spencer because I think they've shown enough, that team, like how many errors they've made, but I still think that is, you need a lot of stuff, but at its core you still do need some exclusive stuff. I know everyone wants to live in this utopia where it's like, oh, it'd be great if that's not the case, but it's like then we would very likely just have one console, or just the two, which that's what we talked about before too, at the PlayStation, Nintendo. Like I want this to come out and I want this to do well, so the next generation it's not just Nintendo and PlayStation that can be like, you know what, yeah, we can sell these consoles for $1,500 because you got no other choices, because then you could have something like, and let's say that happens, you could have the Steam machine come and go, actually, if you want to play games, this is $850, and that's, look what happened in the PS3 era, right? They thought their top stuff. They put out the very expensive PS3, and sure, eventually they did outsell the 360 near the end, but it really hurt them. And they recovered, but to me, the reason they recovered and why Xbox didn't, I know it is a digital, library, but it is the games. I remember, I've said this before, but the end of the PS3 that last year, when Last of Us came out, I worked at Best Buy, and that game literally sold out copies. People come in and I said, sorry, we don't have that. We don't have that right now. Where with Xbox, they never, I guess Games Pass was the reason to get back, which it did, because you were on that and I bought an Xbox for that and it was great. But at the same time, as we talked about, some of those money logistics didn't make sense profitability wise as far as what they're doing. And now the idea is, okay, well, if we have it $30, we can make it profitable, but it's not like, it's not the best idea for most people, right? When you do the math, it depends how many games you play, but no, like that, that's why we are begging for like a third competitor. And I think Xbox, I think this next console will come out and do very poorly, and I think that'll be the final nail for the hardware, and then it will just be a dongle or an app, and especially with this, I think already if this Steam machine didn't exist, this new Xbox wouldn't do the greatest. I think now even more so with this, it'll do even worse, and they got to be oh man, they got to be peeved at this, they I just feel like you have to be a little bit, because it just kind of cuts you out from the knees. And I guess again, people might care, they want that's the problem. We've said this before too, right? If you want the best in graphics, then you're getting a PC. If you're that person that's because I'm somebody that's like, hey, if games never got any better, I'd be happy, because games look great, from where we were years ago. It's like there's so many beautiful games out there, like a Death Stranding. When you see it, it's like, man, this is incredible. So for me, I've never wanted to buy a PC because I'm not obsessed with I gotta have 8K perfect pixelization and stuff. And if Xbox is selling you on that, well, that's kind of gone. If they're selling you can play with Steam games, that's kind of gone. So I'm very curious how they market this next console, and then I'm curious how Steam does. And as the rumor is, the rumor is Half-Life 3 is coming. That's a big boost. It won't be exclusive to that, but still, that's a great
Don't believe it, people. Don't believe it.
You don't think so?
That's been rumored for 20 years, Travis.
I think it's coming. I believe enough of the big time sources that have reported. I think that's going to be one of the big things that launches with this thing is Half-Life 3. I'm telling you, it's going to happen. I'd pizza bet you. I just think they're, from the strategy from that first teaser of this console, I just looked at man, these people know what they're doing. And even if it's not exclusive, that gets people going. And if imagine that, the first game you buy on Steam machine, I'm buying a Steam machine and I'm going to buy Half-Life 3. I just, synergies there. I just feel like that's a great 1-2 punch. I'm telling you, it's coming, or it's within the window, the release window. I'm telling you.
They didn't have anything for Steam Deck though.
I know, but this is bigger. You're trying to get the big boys now. You're trying to be the third. I think this is a bigger deal for them than the deck, because I think the deck still is a certain, even though tons of people do handheld, I think this is a different area, and I think they want to throw that Hail Mary. And I'm telling you, Half-Life 3 will release, I'll say next year at least. That's what I'll say, at least next year. Yeah.
That's 100%. Crazy.
I'm telling you, I feel it. I feel it in the bones.
You want to pizza bet this?
I'd pizza bet this. Yeah, Half-Life 3, 2026, December 31st. It'll be out before then.
Half-Life 3 has to release before the end of next year. Okay.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I'm feeling good about it. I feel like enough top people have said they've heard cooking.
If it's a VR game, does that count for what you're
No, it has to be. Well, I guess
Because Half-Life Alyx VR game, that was the most recent game, right? And now they
I
have
guess
this
the
new
only way it
hardware,
would
new
count is
VR
if
headset.
they. I guess the only way it would count is if it's Half-Life 3 only VR. Like if they announce like we're only doing Half-Life 3 in VR, then I think I
For your
get
okay,
that.
well, let me ask you
Yeah.
this then: does it have to be called Half-Life 3? Because Half-Life Alyx came out, a lot of people are like, "Well, this is Half-Life 3." It doesn't have that 3 next to it, but it is like the next Half-Life game, and it was a really good game. It was just only VR, so it's in this little pocket. I just want to make sure I know who's getting this pizza when I get this pizza. I just want to make sure, you know.
Yeah, that's tough. Let's take VR out of it. And I'll say VR doesn't count for me. That's what I'll say, just
Okay,
to make it easier. Just
console game only. Gotcha.
yeah,
Okay,
console Steam machine game. You know,
you
Half
have
Life
to use the
3.
Steam controller.
Yeah, you play it on the little two screens there, touchpads. But no, I just feel like this, to me, the timing of it, the way, the announcement, it felt like a shot across the bow. And I felt like everybody's going to be on their toes other than Nintendo. I feel like, and I was talking about this on a Trash Told You. I was talking about the Mario trailer. I asked this to some people. Do you agree, Dylan? Do you think Nintendo's the best they've ever been from like a profitability, mainstream appeal wise? Because I feel like it has to be, right? With
Well,
movies, the
profitability,
parks.
that's something you can know, right? Isn't that like
Yeah.
the thing
So
you can look
yeah,
up?
yeah. Take I guess exact. Well, maybe not. Maybe it is. I don't know. Actually, I'd have to look and see. But I just feel like with parks, with the movies, with these games, with the Switch 2, I just feel like they're the most like in the zeitgeist number one brand right now than they've been. Other than maybe when it was just Nintendo and Sega died. You know, I'll say
Yeah.
like at least since the '90s, I feel like Nintendo's never been bigger. So I feel like no matter what, Nintendo's safe, and I feel like PlayStation,
Yep.
as long as they make great games, which is not easy, but as long as they can make great games, they can be safe. And then Steam, if they can do this great, they have a whole new thing with Steam and all. Like I said, modding. That's something that's huge for me and other people that have never done that, right? So it's like that's where Xbox didn't have that thing. So I think it's gonna be hopefully a big deal, and yeah, I look forward to buying one. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I so with the Steam Deck when that came out, the one game they did release for it was it was called Aperture Desk Job. So it was like, okay, Portal-ish. It was in the Portal universe, and it kind of
Right.
taught you about the different doodads and the settings on the Steam Deck and all that stuff. And it was fun. I played through it on my friend's Steam Deck. I guess just going back to the Half-Life thing, I don't know if they needed a game to like show off what this hardware does, because it's just like, it's just, you know, a machine that can play powerful games. It doesn't have like some weird gimmick to it. And it sounds like the controller, like maybe they don't need you to use this controller. Obviously, you can plug in whatever you want in theory, because it's a PC again. So, yeah, I mean that would be cool if Half-Life 3 finally happened. But I think the last thing for me here is VR. I mean I've always wanted to get into VR. It's just so expensive, and it feels like there's not a ton of games releasing for it. But obviously, like I still have not played any VR. So when I eventually get any of them, no matter what one I got, it's like, okay, there's immediately a ton of games. There's a ton of backlog, years and years and years of games I've not checked out. Half-Life Alyx being one of them. If I got the Sony one, I could play the Horizon game, like all sorts of things like that. That Metro game that came out, I think, last year. There's all sorts of things. And so at some point, I would like to get in the market, and I feel like this is maybe the one I'd be most into, because I feel like I've always wanted to get one that would be PC compatible, so like not the PlayStation VR. This one doesn't have any wires, but I don't want the MetaQuest because like it's all Facebooky, and I'm not into that. So
Yeah.
I feel like this could be the one. I mean, not saying I'm gonna buy it like right now because I don't know what the price is and stuff. But this is actually a nice thing for me. I feel like I would want their VR headset. That might be the best option for me. So maybe in the next couple of years I'll pick that up, and could be fun going on that VR journey.
Look at Steam making some sales on the Geekverse just with one video. You know, a Steam machine sold, a VR thing sold. You know, so
Maybe a controller between the four of us. One
yeah,
controller
maybe,
will go.
yeah.
I have used the earlier Steam controllers. Didn't love them. They felt a little rinky-dink, but I feel like maybe they've got the tech down. I'm sure they've been iterating on there from years. I just haven't seen one recently, but I'm sure this one will be pretty good. And yeah, the touchpad feature can be quite nice for certain games, so that's pretty cool. But there you go, Steam. They're just always crushing it. Valve popping off over there. So shout outs to them.
What do you think? Because I'm excited. What do you think the price is going to be?
Oh man, I have no idea. I feel like it will be probably more expensive than. It'll be more expensive than the PS5, but less than the Pro would be my guess. So I don't know whatever number that is. and then I guess so more than the Series X, more than the Switch, of course, because the Steam Deck was as well. So yeah, I'll say between the PS5 and PS5 Pro, which I don't know what that range is, like $200 difference or something.
Find that out right now, because yeah, they got that. And then when they say early 2026, what do you think is a good time?
Oh yeah, I don't even think I noticed the release date of it, to be honest.
Yeah, that was it was that I think after the fact in press releases and stuff. Because yeah, so obviously this doesn't apply to everybody. Right now in Canadian, a Pro is $960, and then a regular PlayStation $650.
Oh, that's a pretty big range then. Okay.
I feel like I'm
maybe
going
I'll
with
say,
like
around
800.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
That's I feel
800
like
mark.
that's like a perfect thing because you can justify why it's more expensive than a PlayStation, but not as much as a Pro. Honestly, because they got to make a profit. I would love them just to lay the gauntlet and make it the exact price as PlayStation 5. I don't think they would. I don't know what expense I would put them at, but if they really want to try to, it's kind of like it's just you. If it's successful, you might have to eat some of it a little bit, but then if it works out and you get people in that ecosystem and you get them coming back,
Yeah, I mean that's part of it for sure. But like already, so many people have PCs that I feel like they're not going to want to lose money on the console itself.
Yeah, true.
Because they already, I think it's 70-30 is the split. Like when you sell a game on Steam, they get 30% chunk right off the top, which is why a lot of like Epic Game Store is like a lot better for developers in terms of like the percentage you get. So Steam, I mean, that's how they can afford to do all this stuff. And Gabe has like 17 yachts because like that's a fuck ton of money they're raking in on just like any purchase, right?
So I was gonna say, can they afford to eat it though too? Then if they want and say, hey, we're gonna put it at that, and then eventually
they could, but like why? Like I don't think they need to. I feel like they'll have enough of that hardcore fan base that'll pay enough for it.
Because if you're long term thinking it, if the idea is to
I just
compete,
think of the Steam Deck, they didn't do that. I mean, I don't know exactly what the bones are in there, but that thing was fairly expensive. And that's the way that they made it a bit more affordable, I guess, is they have different versions. They have like one with a shittier screen. They have one with less storage, more storage. And I think that's what they have for this too, right? They have two versions, one with like 600 gigs and one with like 2 terabytes, I believe, is the different. The two different versions. Maybe there's other variations. Obviously, there wouldn't be a screen thing. So I guess that's another thing too, right? Like that 2 terabyte one, that one's going to be maybe $1,000 or more.
Yeah.
But like, maybe that 600 gig one, maybe that could be the $800 one we're talking about.
Yeah. No, I was just wondering because if there's a way if you want to compete, and not that I think you can. You never know though. Consoles come and go, and I'd like to say, PlayStation solidified. We'll be under PlayStation 10, but. As we've seen, a couple bad CEO decisions, a couple bad runs, like, and that's my thought process. Really
unsustainable right now. They're just so expensive.
Well, yeah, and that's my thought process of maybe if you make this cheaper, is you get people to adopt it, and if you ever make that, like the idea of when the PS6 comes out, like, I'm not gonna get that. I'm gonna get this thing. And I actually do think that, because I was wondering about the release date, because lots of times obviously PlayStation, Xbox come up pretty close together, right? Nintendo feels like it's so separate, it's fine. But I feel like this release date's good because we've heard like 2000, maybe 27, 28, which is scary, but like already these rumblings of the PlayStation 6. I think this is great because you could get in there a couple years of it working. If it all goes well, people like about it, rave it, drops a couple times in prices, etc. So if that PlayStation 6 comes around and it is very pricey, you could get some, you know what, I'm actually going to go this route and try and get this out or whatever it may be, right? Because eventually, by that point, maybe GTA 6 would have a PC version. It'd be on the Steam machine. Like, I think it's actually a really good time to release it so you kind of get some good word of mouth. And then, because I think if you release it at the same time as a PS6, you're kind of dead in the water because everyone's going to put their funds there, right? Where this is like same thing for me. If I had to pick, I'm not going to gamble and get the Steam machine, but now that it's in between consoles, I'd go, okay, I'll get the Steam machine and kind of try that out for a little bit. And maybe I don't get to play 6 right away, right? Because I kind of said with the PlayStation 5, like lots of those exclusives that were going to happen kind of got kicked down the road, right? So
yeah, no, good point. I feel like the timing on this is really good, and even just if you zoom that out to their release schedule in general, where it's like the Switch was out for, because when the Steam Deck released, like, oh my god, what was that? Was like 4 years ago at this point, or no?
2022 February, so 3 years.
So that's like 5 years after the Switch one, but still like I guess roughly 3 years before the Switch 2. So that's like a really nice pocket of people are looking for hardware that's stronger than the Switch. But the Switch 2 is still not quite on the horizon, so it's like a really good timing. And I'm sure they'll have their next version ready in like 3 or 4 years. Like once the Switch 2 is kind of lost some of that luster, people looking for something a bit more powerful. And this feels like a really nice timing too when you compare it to, because obviously the Switch 2 did just come out. So are people looking for a new console? Maybe not. But in terms of you compare it to the PlayStation and Xbox, which is this is more of a close competitor to, that's been a few years now. And yeah, we're still maybe a couple years away from those next generations. So this timing feels really good, actually, kind of in like that 75% range of like when that console, the competing generation happened. So they're kind of like offset in a way that feels pretty nice. Yeah. I think my last thing here was I remember there was a rumor a few months ago that I think me and Taylor talked about, that the next Xbox hardware was going to potentially have Steam built into it, and that was going to be like one of their biggest selling points of this next generation. I don't see that happening anymore, unless they just like straight up sell a PC kind of thing, because then obviously that would potentially just have Steam on it. But yeah, that was such a huge potential thing when we talked about that. I'm like, man, that is a huge selling point for the next Xbox. And even if things aren't going the best for Xbox right now, I would still like get a next generation just like potentially for that benefit, because that's like a whole new storefront to have on there. But yeah, no longer. So that's like another thing you can just pull that rug out from under Xbox. But they deserve it because they're being super shitty lately. So that's fine with me.
Yeah, and I just wonder if they kind of felt that was like, oh, that's something we can get on there, and now it's completely gone. So no, I agree with you. That would have been a console seller for me. So.
Yeah. All right, let's take our last ad break of the show. We'll be right back to talk about the state of play. And one other thing I forgot to mention at the top of the show, but we'll be right back for our last couple of topics. Okay, we are back. State of play happened earlier, or I guess last week at this point. It was a bit of a different one, Travis. It was like a Japanese state of play, where we didn't get like a full-on English dub for it, but instead they just had like English subtitles for it. But it was primarily more maybe Japanese-focused games, like more for the Japanese market, and then a couple things, of course, that almost anything in here could be eligible for anyone in North America to be into this stuff. But it was kind of a different vibe, and I actually quite liked that. I think it had like a very different tone to it. The guy who was hosting it, he had like this cute little blue cardigan. I thought he was like adorable doing this showcase. Good. He was really nice. I like the set they had where they talked to a couple developers. So I kind of like this as like I feel like it lowered my expectations too, because it was something different, a little off the wall, and there was still like a couple cool announcements in here, things I'm excited for. They showed off an Elden Ring Night Rain DLC. That's a big thing. Elden Ring's huge. If you can get an announcement like that, that's pretty cool. And then Marvel Tokon was another big one that had a nice showcase here, nice trailer. So overall, I thought this was like a totally fine show. I mean, I had like no expectations because I didn't even watch it until a few days later, and so I hadn't heard much buzz about it.
No,
me either. I was like, there's probably nothing in here. And then I was like, there's like a handful of things that I thought looked pretty nice in here. And yeah, it was cool to kind of see what the show looks like when it's kind of targeted for a different market. So I had a good time with this one overall.
Yeah, I only watched the things you told me to watch, and then I scrubbed through it a little bit, but I don't think it's a bad idea because obviously great big market for them, right? So they should do these things, and even then there's still some information, and even the one trailer you had me watch did look really cool. So no, I think it's a good idea to spread your wings. Don't just worry about the North American market, so.
Absolutely. Yeah, there was two things early on in like the two cozy games. They did a lot of this. They paired two things together, which I thought was nice. It's almost like, here's your wine, here's your cheese pairing. I feel like they were doing that kind of thing. They had two cozy games. Inko Beanie, one store, many stores was like this cute little convenience store kind of simulator thing. But I feel like there's so many of those kind of games these days, and they're just like asset flip, like money grab kind of things. But this one actually looked really cute and sweet. I really like the art style of it. All the text and stuff for like all the things you were selling in the store was all like Japanese and stuff. So I don't know if I assume this is getting like an English version as well, but I thought this looked really cool. Went on my wish list. And then Coffee Talk is a series I really enjoy. I've played the first two games, and then Coffee Talk Tokyo was announced at some point a few months ago, and that got a release date here of March 5th. So yeah, I'm excited for that. There's a couple returning characters, but it looks like mostly a whole new cast of characters. I feel like I'll just always pick up these Coffee Talk games. They're pretty cheap. They're just really nice, low-key games, really good music in there. Just a nice place to hang out at the end of a day is what I find for Coffee Talk. So I like the two cozy games in there. And then, yeah, the ones I got you to check out is, I guess this is like a series. So there's 2 different games under the Broken Lore moniker. One is Broken Lore Unfollow, which is maybe looks more like a traditional horror game.
Very
a creepy
PT-ish.
house. Yeah, weird,
vibes,
nasty beasts, that kind of thing coming after you. And then another one called Broken Lore Ascent, which is kind of like these 2 characters who are trying to get this really dope live stream for their followers, where they're climbing this giant tower in Tokyo, and then obviously things go awry. There's some really creepy imagery one where like the back of a lady's head and her neck is kind of ascending, like getting this, just growing, is really creepy. So I thought both these horror games look really cool, really distinct, had a nice art style. I like the premise of Ascent. Like, that's very different than the other games I've seen out here from horror games. It feels like a very like movie kind of thing. Like, I think about that movie, what the hell was it called? The Fall, right? The one where like those 2 girls like climb this like just massive tower and they get stuck.
Yes.
You know, which was not a great movie. But like, that's a fun concept for a game. So I'm really into these. I think those both look really cool, and they're definitely both gone on my wish list. But yeah, what'd you think of those horror games? Any interest there?
Yeah, no, there is interest. I have to hear word of mouth, and honestly, I feel like this would be, I don't know if I'd pick it up a day one, but if down the line there's some good stuff, maybe on a sale or one of those free games, or who knows. But no, I like the look of both of them. They both had, which was funny because I had to double take when you sent me those. I was like, what's he doing? Like, this is a Travis typo? Like, why is there 2 different Broken Arrow things here? But no, both of them look good. Like you said, the first one or the second one was unique, and the first one very similar to if you like the Res 7 or the PT. If you like that, okay, you're in a creepy house and something's awry, and just kind of weird things like that. It's just like a full figure that's just black, and he's banging his head on the table. Like, lots of stuff that definitely is going to have kind of some mystery box elements to it. So yeah, it's one that I'll look out for, whether if you played or just down the line for it. But it was they were good trailers, so I'm always down for some good horror games.
Yep, and then we got Elden Ring Night Rain is getting its first I mean, I think it's had some DLC bosses dropped in the game, but this is like its first big DLC pack coming out December 4th. Considering this is like a multiplayer thing and maybe a little bit live servicey, like, do you think we'll get a bunch of DLCs for this game? Like, are they just going to keep pumping it up for years to come? Yeah,
I think so. I think this is a good way to kind of wet the whistle too a little bit, because I imagine they'd probably make like an Elden Ring 2, right? Like a proper, like a follow-up, you think?
Man,
I think with the
question.
movie,
I haven't really thought about what they do next, because they just did a new Armored Core. I feel like Bloodborne is maybe it's finally time for Bloodborne.
Yeah, I just be like in general though. So yeah, I guess I'll rephrase that. Not next, but do you think in general one day there would be an Elden Ring 2, right?
Elden Ring's happening.
Okay, and that's why I think that's still far off. That's going to be a little bit, but so why not? You know, like I said, wet the whistle. The people that are still playing that, as I did say, they are making a movie, so just to kind of keep that also going too. So yeah, I think DLC will come with this. So. Or like just continue to flow.
Yeah, and I think when that game's super cheap on sale, nice discount, I think we'll probably pick it up and check that out. So someday, maybe we'll get the Game of the Year edition. Has all these DLCs. And we can play it 3 years from now. We'll keep an eye on that one. And then there was. I guess I want to talk about Marvel Tokon. Was there anything else from the state of play that I didn't?
No, nothing that caught the eye of myself.
The eye of the beholder. Okay, Marvel Tokon. Got a new trailer here, which I think the main reason here is they wanted to announce they're doing another beta, which is happening the first week of December. So it's also like the same time that Marvel Cosmic Invasion is coming out. So big week for Marvel games.
Yeah.
That's pretty exciting. I'm sure Marvel Rivals has a new character, joining the game that week too. So yeah, I think I'm signed up for that. I think you're signed up for that too, right? Because if you're just signed up for the PlayStation, thing, you're in general signed up for. So hopefully one of us gets in there this time and we can check it out. I think it's like 72 hours long, and you can check out all the characters and things that they've announced so far. So that would be nice. But yeah, the main thing they showed off here was a new level, which is X Mansion, of course. And then I think a lot of speculation from there, because on this level in the background there's all sorts of characters, and so a lot of people are thinking like, okay, those characters are probably not playable. So we didn't get a new character here. It seems like we got a whole bunch of deconfirms, but then also it's like, okay, the X-Men characters that aren't here, those ones seems like maybe there's some confirmation. So it's mostly speculation. But yeah, what did you think of this trailer in general?
Yeah, it was good. This game's still looking good. I'm liking a lot of the maybe I've seen images of them, but the variation of the costumes, like seeing, because that other Spidey one, that is like the PS4, right? one of those skins, or is it very similar to the PS4, the white
Oh, I'd
one?
have to take a closer look. I don't think I noticed that.
Maybe it's not the white spire though, so maybe it's just their look. But I'd say the game's looking good, looking sleek. Yeah, it was funny that when I saw Colossus, because when I just pulled up the trailer first, I was like, "Oh man, is Colossus from?" And then I said, "Oh no, he's in the background. He would have been like a perfect fighting character and whatnot." So, yeah, I am just still in. Game's still looking great. I'm excited to try it at some point. I'm just still in shock that we've not gotten a single like
So weird.
yeah new character,
The
which I'm
roster is
getting.
going to be freaking small. That's what I'm thinking at this point. I think it's
Yeah,
gonna be
which is
tiny at launch and probably just a bunch of DLC.
yeah, which I think it feels similar to when we got Strikers. We couldn't wait to play it online, and we found it wasn't that. I felt like when this game came out, and especially with there being the 4 fighters, I feel like oh, big roster, lots of options, gonna be a good time.
Yeah.
So I do think that's actually gonna hurt them quite a bit. Hopefully the game reviews well and plays well, and that will kind of get the word to go. Because you never know with superhero games nowadays. Some can bomb, and obviously Marvel Rivals is free, but obviously for a while blew up, right? So I don't know obviously what this is gonna be priced at, when it's gonna be released. Next year's a tough year for games if you're not like a big established one. So everything looks good. Lots of the combos and the fighting, like it looks like a fun game. This looks like a game that if one of us own, I would definitely add in the gauntlet as well, because it'd be fun to like, because you could hopefully do like a teams with the 4 people, right? I'm hoping. I don't know, but yeah, I just still surprised by no characters. So
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so the characters, once again, the characters in the background, they're kind of like lower detail than your main fighters, right? And that's one of the main reasons people are like, oh yeah, these are not playable characters because they kind of look like shit compared to like what the, rest of the characters look like. And I feel like they have less about like a certain style. Like all the characters in this game so far have like kind of a unique look to them, right? Like obviously we talked about Cap, and he kind of has like this weird vest thing that he's not really had before. So obviously they're taking their own style with it. That's kind of less so the case for these background characters. So that's definitely like to some extent deconfirming them. But also I feel like that means that maybe they're just like on the room. Maybe there's room for them like DLC wise. If this game is big enough and gets a lot of DLC, maybe you can see them later. But I think it pretty much means they're probably not going to be there in the base character roster. So those characters in the background are Psylocke, Angel, Nightcrawler, Beast, Colossus, Gambit, unfortunately, Professor X, and Iceman. So yeah, I think of those, Gambit, Iceman, maybe those are like the two. Like, I mean, Gambit is probably the biggest snub just because he's so hot right now. I feel like it would have been great to have him in there.
yeah,
And Iceman just always fun because ice powers are cool. But
and I feel like
yeah,
not that it's one that I want, but I actually do feel like Colossus is not a snub, but I think that would have been a key.
Psylocke
Like,
too, because Psylocke's all over those old fighting games.
yeah, so it's gonna be interesting.
But notably the big three, I guess X-Men characters not in there. Maybe even 4. Rogue is not in there. Cyclops, Jean, and Wolverine. I mean, Wolverine, he's not confirmed, but like he's confirmed. He's 100% going to be in there as a playable character. What do you think this means for Cyclops and Jean? I feel like maybe it's looking pretty good for them, actually. I feel like they'll want at least 4 X-Men characters so you can make a team of X-Men, if you go into a battle. And so I feel like those ones all make a lot of sense for me. Rogue maybe less so, but it is weird. I don't think she was in the background, so that just kind of stands out. Of like, you would think she'd be hanging out with Gambit, unless maybe she's playable.
She's hanging out with Magneto, But no, I actually feel like Cyclops is not the best. Like, I feel like he's lower on the totem pole for getting in there, because he was punching in some optical lasers. Yeah, I feel good about Jean Grey. I don't feel good about any of them because I feel like we got more. But Jean Grey and Rogue, you never know, can fly. But yeah, I think Jean Grey could be a lock. I don't know about the other two. I feel iffy on those because there could be some other X-Men in there that we're not even thinking about that could be on the roster, right? So
yeah, I mean, I hope there's some more weirdo picks. There hasn't been a ton of those yet. I'd like to have a couple.
Yeah, even though I'd say like Robbie Reyes Ghost Rider was kind of a weirdo pick a little bit. Like we weren't expecting that Ghost Rider, Like
I
it's
guess
a tag.
specifically that Ghost Rider.
Yes,
yeah. That makes sense. Yeah. So yeah, not too much more other than that. Like the X-Mansion level, it's kind of weird. They were like, oh yeah, you might be wondering, this level doesn't have different formations like the other ones. Does that mean it's a worse map? They like said that on the stream. I'm like, what a weird thing to say. And they're like, well,
yes,
no, because the map will actually transform. So it's like, and I think my theory on this is that there's a bunch of sentinels in the background, just like walking around like giant sentinels. And so as you're playing through it, maybe the X-Mansion will get like smashed down and pieces will fall onto the map. maybe the Sentinels will come in and you got to like dodge them or something weird. I don't know, but I think that's what's going to happen. I think there's just going to be a lot of commotion happening in the background, which.
Hopefully, it's just him gone, not me. But Sentinels, always a good time, always a staple of X-Men, blowing up stuff, wrecking havoc. So Sentinels are a good option, and it sets the stage up a little different too. So,
Yes, you hear me now?
I hear you now. Yeah.
Oh, that fair internet. But yeah, the Savage Land, seeing more of that level looks great as well. So I'm very excited to fight there. I don't think I've really seen the gameplay for that one up until now. So looks great.
Yeah. Yeah. No, hopefully it's good.
Yeah, Marvel Tokon. I hope I get into that beta and can share some more thoughts. But Travis, lastly for today, and I don't think there's much to say here, but I just wanted to bring it up since we're the Death Stranding boys. Death Stranding. First, it was a game. Then it was another game. Then it's a movie, right? It's a movie. It's a movie, right? And then it was a concert. And now it's an anime on Disney Plus. Death Stranding Isolations. No trailer or anything, just like a one screenshot, or not even a screenshot, but just one image. What do you think about this? Are you intrigued?
Well, I had to confirm. Is there not another anime movie as well to happen? Yeah, Death Stranding Mosquito. Remember that? That's also happening. We got to look at the summer.
Okay. I was looking that up and I saw someone talking about Mosquito. And I thought that was like a code name for this, but okay, that's a different thing. Okay.
I give the guy credit. You know, you got to get this out. You got to build it. Kojima Productions still obviously big ties, right? Main game for Xbox Space. It's not like they're hurting, but still trying to make a brand name. So then maybe that whole idea where the Kojima Productions could be him making one game and then a bunch of other teams making a bunch of other games, right? And this helps getting a movie, getting on Disney Plus, getting a show. All that stuff helps. From just the artwork, I am not digging this whatsoever. I do not like seeing anything with Death Stranding with high pinks and high reds and a person with a bow. The color and the animation looks all be off. And I also just feel that Disney Plus is a very odd option. Now I get it. They got Hulu. They're trying to be more adulty in a sense, I guess, but it just feels very strange. I will be there. I'll check this out. I'm curious about it. I hope that it's something is of worth some merit. It's not just Kojima said, "Oh, put the name on, good to go." But that first image, like Mosquito, at least that it has anything to do with Sam Porter Bridges, but this feels like in the Death Stranding world. Not the biggest anime guy, but excited to give this a shot and see what it is. This on just the first impression did not feel like Death Stranding. This felt like a movie that they might watch in Death Stranding. Felt like something fake. I don't know. I was not digging what I was seeing, so I definitely need a trailer in the future. But I'm happy that it's being made, and I hope it's another way for Death Stranding, because I think the Death Stranding world, as we've talked about, is full of potential. So, and this also just makes me think between a movie, this Mosquito, there's got to be a third game, and I hope it's with the character that he is. I just feel like even if it's not Kojima making this game, I feel like this brand they keep showing, that they keep putting stuff into, it'd be very weird just to leave it at the two games and never do anything with it again. So that's what I'm hoping, is all this fuel of the fire is going to get me that third game starring the character I want to. But it was odd. I'll just say odd.
Yeah. I think that's definitely a fair assessment. The art style does not really match the games. I do like the art style, at least from that one image. I think it looks cool. It's just, it is a little bit distant from the rest of the series. But who knows? Maybe with this movie, Mosquito, I guess we'll remain to be seen if Death Stranding has different flavors. A lot of series are like that. Different spin-offs and things like that have very different tones and things. And so far, we've only had 2 games that are from Kojima and are very similar in vibe. But we'll have to wait and see what this means for it and what this could mean for another game, maybe the next Death Stranding that's not made by Kojima. Maybe it doesn't really delve much in these delivery mechanics and balancing shit on your back. Maybe it's more of a actiony game or something like that. Maybe they mix it up. So which I think is fine. I like the delivery mechanics, but I don't know if I need 3, 4, 5, 6 games all doing that, right? Maybe it's time to switch it up and do something new. So I'm intrigued by this. I will definitely watch it, but it's kind of just crazy how much. I totally forgot the Mosquito one, so it's just insane how much is happening from this IP, which is a decent size, but it doesn't feel like it's that big. Like I feel like there's a
No,
much bigger gaming IPs out there that could be getting all these things, like a
not that old either,
Baldur's Gate
too.
3 TV show or something. But like instead we're getting like a bunch of Death Stranding ones. But it makes sense because
Yeah.
Kojima, likes this weird stuff. So
But yeah, it's only 6 years old, the franchise, right? Like, obviously, I know, like, longer because they preview, but like from when the game came out, because the game could easily just came out bombed, and then everyone's like, well, we're not doing anything there, right? So, but yeah, no, it's gonna be interesting. And I can't remember when, but I think sometime after the second game, Kojima did some interview. I think it might have been at that Kojima whatever celebration thing where he did confirm that the live action movie is not Sam Porter Bridges. It's its own thing, own story. So so that's also
right.
interesting where all three of these now, the movie, Mosquito, and Isolations, all different stories. None of them adapting the story we know. So which is well, I'd say is a good idea, but who knows? Maybe not. Maybe we'll look back at the movie and people go, "Oh, it should have been
Yeah.
Norman Reedus. It should have been this." But I think it's probably a good idea. But yeah, it's gonna be interesting to see. So
Yeah, I mean, it'd be hard to picture them adapting that story in even like a TV show length thing. Like, I feel like it just
yeah,
needs so much time to cook. Like, maybe a 12 episode, 1 hour each, maybe that could do the trick. Maybe that's enough time. But anything less
hmm
than that, it feels like that'd be really hard to adapt that story one to one. And so maybe it's better to do these one off stories. But definitely an expansive world. Like, there's still, we've been to Australia now, Mexico, US, but there's still like this whole globe potentially. And obviously, Japan could be a really interesting place to see what's cracking in the Death Stranding world there, which could be. I don't know if like these shows or anything like that are from like Japanese teams or anything like that, because obviously he's
yeah.
Japanese and might want to collaborate with other Japanese people and stuff. But yeah, we'll have to see. But yeah, definitely interesting nonetheless.
hmm
Death Stranding, Isolations. Travis, anything else for today?
No, that was it. Fun,
Yeah,
just random topics today. Lots of good stuff going on in
yeah.
the game world, and yeah, I guess we're on the Trek to Game Awards, and that'll be a
hmm
fun show that hopefully should have some announcements and everything. So
Absolutely. Yeah, good mix of stuff today. Thank you for joining me. Thank you everyone for listening, and we will see you again next week. Bye bye.